Listening to problem solving. You will hear a conversation in 3 sections. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. Choose the best answer to each question.
Hi, Mike. How was your weekend?
Okay, I guess. Actually, it could have been better. I didn't get much sleep.
Too much partying, huh?
In a way, yeah. But my neighbors were doing the partying, not me.
They were so loud they kept you awake?
Exactly. At least, that's what happened at first. You know, my apartment complex has these, really thin walls. My neighbors had some people over on Saturday, and they had the stereo on, and things were getting pretty loud.
Uh-huh.
Question 1.
What would best describe the man's attitude?
Question 2.
What did the man's neighbor do to him?
Question 3.
What would most likely be the cause of the problem? Now listen to part 2.
And, you see, I was supposed to get up early to go hiking with some friends, so I wanted to get to sleep early. Anyway, I banged on the wall and yelled at them to turn down the music.
So what happened then? Did it get quiet?
Yeah, it got really quiet. Then my neighbor came to my door and apologized and everything. She said that if she knew I could hear them, she wouldn't have played the stereo so loud. She said that she never heard me, etc., etc.
Because you're always so quiet, I guess.
Well, usually, but mostly I'm just away a lot.
Question 4.
What did the man have planned for the next day?
Question 5.
What did the man do to try and solve his problem?
Question 6.
What did the neighbor do in return? Now listen to part 3.
Anyway, I felt pretty embarrassed. I guess I should have just knocked on her door and nicely asked them to turn down the music.
Uh-huh. So you felt kind of guilty, huh? So after that, did you finally get to sleep?
Not really. See, there are a lot of dogs in our neighborhood, and sometimes they bark at night. I guess I'm just sensitive to noise.
Question 7.
What should have the man done in the first place?
Question 8.
How does the man now feel about his actions?
Listening to a daily life conversation. You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. Choose the best answer to each question.
I just found out my parents are moving.
Are you surprised?
No, not really. They've been trying to sell their house for, 6 months to a year now.
Oh, well, I thought they liked it where they were.
They do, they love it, but they're getting older. Dad wants to live in a smaller town, and Mom says she's sick and tired of the fast pace and taking care of the house,
So where are they going to move?
You're not going to believe this.
What?
They're going to Mexico. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Nope. They're going to San Miguel de Allende. It's this gorgeous little town in the mountains.
Wow, I've never heard of it.
It's about 150 miles northwest of Mexico City.
Wow. Do your parents speak Spanish?
Nope, but they're gonna learn.
Wow, that is a big change. Why don't they stay in the U.S.?
Well, they have always wanted to live abroad. Now that they're retired, they finally get to do it. And my dad, he adores Mexico. He's been there 6 or 7 times at least.
Wow, sounds like this is going to be quite an adventure.
It should be. And San Miguel, it is stunning. The government has made sure that there's no new buildings ever built there, so the traditional feeling of the town, it's been preserved. Oh, and they make pottery there, which is perfect for my mother because she collects the stuff.
Oh, that's great for her. So, I guess now you're going to have a place to stay in Mexico?
Yeah?
And a place for your friends to come and visit in Mexico?
Well, if my friends are nice to me, I suppose something could be arranged. Did you have anybody in particular in mind?
Oh, very funny. So when exactly are they moving?
Oh, in a couple of months. No, they have to pack up and take care of all the business here. I'm going to help them with the move. I may even try and stay a couple of months if I can swing the time.
Wow, that'd be great.
Question 1.
Why do the man's parents want to move?
Question 2.
Why does the man's dad want to move?
Question 3.
Why does the man's mom want to move?
Question 4.
What is so unique about the town where the man's parents are moving to?
Question 5.
What is the woman in the conversation alluding to?
Listening to a news item.
The search for a second man who went missing after a boat accident has been called off. An official from the Joint Rescue Centre said that a small boat was heading to Gambier Island with 2 men on board. The men were planning to spend 2 nights camping on the island. The boat sank at about 2 p.m. yesterday afternoon. 1 man was picked up last night on the shore of Gambier Island. Although the search for the other man continued throughout the night and the next morning, the second man still has not been found. The official at the Joint Rescue Centre said that the 2 men, who were both in their early 20s, had struck rocks that were well marked on local charts. Neither man was wearing a life jacket, and both had limited experience on boats. It is believed that the second man has been swept out to sea. The official said that too many people get into trouble on the sea due to inexperience. Before going on boating trips, people should carefully check tide tables and charts of the area. Above all, people should wear life jackets at all times when on the water. Every year there are hundreds of incidents in which people fall off boats or small boats get into trouble at sea. If the people on board are wearing life jackets, and fortunately most are, their chances of survival are very high.
Listening to a discussion.
Thanks for seeing me, Professor Williams.
Glad to, Alice. What do you have on your mind?
Well, I got a little mixed up when I started to go over my notes from the last class, so I had a few questions.
Shoot.
Okay. I understand the 3 basic sources of personnel for multinational companies. That's fairly self-explanatory.
Host country, home country, and third country.
Right. But then you started talking about staffing patterns that... Let me see. Okay. You said staffing patterns may vary depending on the length of time that the multinational company has been operating. And you gave some examples, but I got confused and now I can't read my notes.
Okay. Well, one pattern is to rely on home country managers to staff the key positions when the company opens, but gradually moving more host country nationals into upper management as the company grows.
So, for example, if a French company opened a factory in Canada, then French management would gradually replace themselves with Canadian managers? Is that what you mean?
Right. I think I used that very example in class. So, do you want to try to explain the second pattern to me?
Sure. I think it's the one where home country nationals are put in charge of the company if it's located in a developed country, but in a developing country, then home country nationals manage the company sort of indefinitely.
Right again. And an example of that would be...
Maybe using German management for a Swiss company in Germany, but, they might send Swiss management to provide leadership for a Swiss company in...
How about Zimbabwe?
This is one of the confusing parts. Zimbabwe has a very old and highly developed culture, so...
But it's still defined as a developing country because of the economic base, which is being developed now.
Ah, okay. I guess that makes sense. Then the example of the American company with British management, when the company's in India, that would be a third country pattern?
Yes. In fact, this pattern's fairly prevalent among multinational companies in the United States. Many Scottish or English managers have been hired for top management positions at United States subsidiaries in the former British colonies. India, Jamaica, the West Indies, some parts of Africa.
Okay, so I've got all the examples right now.
Anything else?
Just one thing. There were some typical patterns for certain countries.
Like the last example.
No, this came later in the lecture. Something about Japan and Europe.
Oh, right. I probably said that both Japanese multinational companies and European companies tend to assign senior-level home country managers to overseas locations for their entire careers, whereas multinational companies in the United States view overseas assignments as temporary, so they may actually find themselves reporting to a senior-level manager from the host country who has more experience.
So, for example, a Japanese company in the United States would most probably have senior-level Japanese managers with mid-level managers maybe from the United States. But in Japan, the senior-level Japanese managers at an American company would probably have mid-level American managers reporting to them.
Well, generalities are always a little tricky, but for the most part, that would be a typical scenario. Because living as a permanent expatriate is a career move in Japan, but a temporary strategy in the United States.
Okay, that's interesting.
And important for you to know as a business major with an interest in international business. You're still on that track, aren't you?
I sure am, but, I wasn't thinking in terms of living abroad for my entire career. That really is a huge commitment, and something to ask about going in. Anyway, like you say, most American companies view overseas assignments as temporary. That's more what I have in mind for myself, I mean.
Listening to viewpoints.
Community care is an issue that is finally gaining the attention of our politicians. Ms. Stone is a community care worker who recently met with Mr. Gill, the provincial government's Minister of Health Services. Ms. Stone related the story of a 68-year-old mother named Jennifer. According to Ms. Stone, Jennifer has an adult son who is disabled. She has no idea who will care for her son when she is no longer able to take care of him. Jennifer wants her son to live in his own community and close to his family. Jennifer says she is exhausted and experiencing mental, emotional, and physical burnout as she cares for her son with little support from the government and with no one around to lend a hand. The provincial government's Minister of Health Services, Mr. Gill, responded to Ms. Stone's comments, stating that he recognized the difficulties faced by families with disabled adult children. Mr. Gill noted, however, that the government has already provided monetary support directly to such families. In addition to providing fiscal support, the government also provides community care homes for 785 clients. The minister recognized that provincial support may still be insufficient. Nonetheless, he insisted that the province is currently doing everything in its power to provide the best care possible. Ms. Stone was not satisfied by the minister's response. Money, she argued, is not enough. Families are unable to provide all the care their disabled children need. The reality for many aging parents today is that they will, with great reluctance, put their disabled son or daughter into a long-term care facility. Although long-term care facilities often isolate disabled people, many aging parents simply have no other options. Ms. Stone argued that alternative community care options need to be provided, such as visiting nurses, supported community housing, and small group homes. Disabled people could then function as members of their own local communities. It seems that there is a general agreement that people with severe disabilities should be cared for in the community. Both Ms. Stone and Mr. Gill hold that the rights of disabled people and their families must be recognized. Moreover, both recognize that these rights involve the inclusion of all people in their communities, no matter what their disability may be. The key issue of contention appears to be one of immediate priority. Ms. Stone is seeking substantive additional funding in order to directly support families. She also wants community care homes established now. The government, however, is taking an incremental approach to support, providing additional funding as and when it is able to do so.